Go ahead and back first.
Hey, Coach. Zach got some 2 fouls in the first half there early before the 10-minute break, and you did end up playing it there towards the end. What sort of kind of thought process and trust is there that maybe hadn't been there past seasons?
Right. Yeah, it's you got to weigh a lot of different things at the time. Some people just have absolutes. I think it depends on the game and how the game's unfolding. I think sometimes you can start off in a game in general and play well, and it's the worst thing for you. I think that happened today, and our decision making just wasn't very good in the first half, and then our attention to detail defensively wasn't very good. And then when you let good shooters get into a rhythm, you know, you kind of find that out. But just trying to get him back in there and keep that burden on Minnesota. It's just very hard to guard him. It's very hard to guard him without fouling. And but you're rolling the dice a little bit. You know, you got to have some trust there that he can play ball screen defense. He can box out, and he goes after offensive rebounds. So you got to like pull back a little bit. And right as he subbed back in, he did it, and you're like, you know, kind of hold your breath a little bit because it changes the game. You know, no different than like Dawson Garcia having 3, and they didn't get him out, and then we were going to him. We were going to the guy there, and our guy doesn't throw the ball to him, which is just not a very good understanding of what's going on in the game. If you can get somebody's best player in the 4 fouls in the first half, it's going to definitely benefit you, and it benefited us even when he had 3. So, but no, Zach's, you know, he's got some discipline in that area, but things can happen in the game that's out of your control too. So, like, you got to understand that as a coach. But foul trouble is when someone's out of the game. Foul trouble is not 2 fouls. So even if he gets a 3rd, like, he still gets to play in the game and have 2 more fouls, right? It's the rule. So, like, sometimes the rules that you have and you think about through the years, you kind of like wean off of that a little bit, if that makes any sense. But you also got to understand the individual and then understand the course of the game, like how it's going. Like if we were up 14, 15, 16 points and it's going that way, I don't know if I'd have put him back in just because, but you know, we were getting ready the way they were playing to be down worse than we actually were.
Matt, the players spoke to this when they were in here, but there was some adversity management that you had to go through in this game. And it's not like you haven't had it, you know, Northwestern a couple weeks ago pushed you to the limit and spent some road games. But in this case, you know, being down at halftime, first time that Minnesota has really pushed it, you know, to their credit, they're better. But what does it mean, though, as you go through the course of the season to have these moments, to have to fight through things, and how do you kind of build on that?
Yeah, you know, 2 of our wins in Hawaii, we were down at half, and we played much better in the second half, the 2 games we were down. And then our championship game against Marquette, we're up 13 at half, and then we didn't play as well. So I thought their energy was better, their attention to detail was better than ours in the first half. Everything always looks better when you make shots, and they made more shots than we did, especially 3s. And that's what we absolutely didn't want. We wanted tough 2s. Like, go look at Mitchell and Cam Christie's numbers from 2, right? And it doesn't come up 2 points, it's 3 points in total, but you can look at it and see. I think they're 2 for 11 from 2. But we absolutely wanted to stay with them and not let them get rhythm 3s, and it's exactly what they got. So going to halftime and being down 8 versus playing Northwestern and being up 8. So even though they took us to the end and, you know, was controlling the game at the end, and we were fortunate to get in overtime. 2 different games, we've been in different situations. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Alabama. You know, Alabama hit 13 threes against us in the first half and we were down 2, which is absolutely crazy, right? But it happened, and our guys just kept scoring. I don't know if we stopped him per se, but here I thought we did a much better job in the second half defending. And it helps when you execute, right? You execute and you can set your defense. But we went to a little offense, defense, substitution. I thought Ethan Morton really helped. I thought Lance Jones picked up his intensity. I thought Braden, you know, had more discipline in the second half. And they're a tough cover. You know, like if you're fielding a team and you're looking for things, think about what they've added. They've added quickness and the nation's leading assist guy in Hawkins. They've added 2 guys that can score at the 2 and the 3 that also have quickness and can shoot 3s off the dribble. Carrington's been more consistent for them, and he's a 2-way player come off the bench who they've had in the past, right? So you look at their front line, and like Ola Joseph is a good player, and right now he doesn't get as many minutes, kind of the odd man out, kind of like Caleb First for us. But it's because those other guys are really good too. So they have depth in their front court. Their back court's really new, but they're starting to play well together, and they're polished, and they're making shots, and they're guarding, and so that's what you want. You got quickness, you got athleticism, you got size, you got skill. That's what you want. But they've also had the schedule that they had to have because of all the newness, right? They've had to. So the way he scheduled was, you look at it now and you wish that you scheduled a little bit more, but he wasn't in that position. He had to do what he did. He's just made a lot of right decisions in here in developing his team and doing things. He's good guy, good coach, and they're going in the right direction. And that's what you want to see, that light at the end of the tunnel. You want that light to be hope. You don't want it to be a train. Their light's hope, and they should feel good about where they are. Even though it stinks, they put themselves in position to win, and they didn't. But a lot of people don't put themselves even in that position sometimes when they go on the road in this league. It's pretty tough.
Matt, but you had to bridge the gap with Caleb, with Zach on the bench. What did Caleb give you tonight to allow you to keep Zach on the bench a little bit longer?
I thought he did a really good job in the first half. Just was active, did some good things defensively. Scored the basketball, but gave us some energy. Gave us some confidence as a team too. Like when he goes to the bench and you can have some good things happen. It's definitely a positive for us. But no, I thought he was ready to play, and he did a lot of really good things. It's hard, man. It's hard to and he's got the short end of things here this year. There's no question about that. Just like Trey got it last year. But also, I don't like taking him out, Zach. And so right, genius. and so it just stinks for those other guys because in my mind we have 4 players that get the minutes they deserve, and then everybody else should play more, but you only get 200 minutes. So but everybody, I've never felt this way about a whole team. I got 2 guys that don't play that are on scholarship. They're good enough to play, but I don't have anywhere. Miles Colvin, we get in some games we don't. He deserves to play more. Ethan Moore deserves to play more. Every single guy on our team, Mason Gillis, deserves to play more. Every single one of them outside of those 4 guys do, but you're trying to make it best for your team, and that's hard sometimes. It's really, really hard. But I appreciate our guys, and I appreciate their professionalism. It's hard for young people to be professional, and they are.
Matt, what comes out of Braden in situations where his team needs him to kind of do something?
I think just the competitiveness and looking to be aggressive. We want him to score. I want him to shoot more than 7 times in a game, but it's pretty impressive that you're 2 rebounds and 1 assist away from a triple-double in a really tight game. That was difficult for us, but just trying to get him to be as aggressive as he can. And you're not going to shoot as much when you run as much ball screen stuff as we do, and they're going to hedge high. Now, he's got to set other people up and pass and move the basketball. And I think some of it gets frustrating. We got out of it a little bit at the end. I think that opened up some things for a couple of those drives for him. But no, he's just a competitive player. I wouldn't trade him for anybody in the country. He's to only be in his 2nd year of college. He does some pretty amazing things.
Now, I understand the philosophy of keep hitting singles, but to relay that to 18 to 22-year-olds that you can't come back from 10 down in 1 possession, 2 possessions.
Right.
How difficult is that, and how these guys embrace that? Any situation, we just got to chip away.
Right. Yeah, just doing your job on defense, and like I said, giving more attention to detail. Taking up their space offensively, not letting the ball get into the sweet spots, into the high post and low post where their bigs want it, and just being more stingy defensively, and just trusting the process more than anything. Don't hang your head when you take a good shot and you miss it. Just keep executing, but we can't rebound your turnover. And in the first half, we have 7 turnovers. Just give us a chance to rebound. Take good shots, give us a chance to rebound. When you turn the basketball over and you don't give us that chance, you kill us. You absolutely kill us. And, that gets said countless to our guys. And so at the end of the day, would you live with 10 turnovers? Sure. But, we also had 3 turnovers in the second half, and look how we played. And so, we weren't off the charts, but, we also didn't help ourselves by missing free throws, right? So free throws are something that should be positive, and then when you miss your free throws, you just don't feel good about yourself. But what we just tried to sell to them is that good things have happened. Even though we, split them and only got one free throw, or missed both of them, or whatever, missed the front end, there's still positives about getting to the free throw line. But don't hang your head about it, like keep doing those positive things that are getting you to that free throw line. But I think it's tough. I think it's tough on people's morale of being aggressive when those things are happening, but our guys were able to fight through it.
Matt, Braden's got 8 steals in the last 2 games, had 2 big late ones against Wisconsin. How do you manage his willingness and when to be aggressive on defense, especially going in on drives?
Just, more than anything, especially when he's helping, just when they have a blind eye to the basketball, be aggressive. He gives up a 3 in the first half. If you do that and you go after the basketball and they pick it up, you got to go back. You can't still mess with their passers then. A lot of very few big guys dribble and pass the basketball. In an NBA game, you see it a lot, but you don't see it in college. 6'9", 230, driving the seam, and now they're passing off their right hand, one hand. You just don't see it. So when they get in there and they start wheeling and dealing, and they don't look at you, and now you can come on that blind. I just call it a blind eye, just because they've turned their head. And so now just play on that. He is great at that. He is great at just kind of cutting underneath them, getting that steal. Lance does a good job with that. But you have to have awareness if the ball handler picks it up and now becomes a distributor. Then you go back, that's when you're really susceptible to that back cut too. So you don't want to eat those threes. The one thing you don't want, it's just like offense. What you want is what you want to take away. You want to take away those threes, and you don't want to give layups, and you don't want to foul. Offensively, that's what you want. You want layups, dunks, free throws, and rhythm threes. Analytically, it just makes sense.
Hey Matt, talk about the trust you have in this team. I watched the video. Fletch gave you an idea in the timeout that one time he changed it. But you've got a lot of guys that want to be coaches on the team. But talk about what trust you have in these guys to make decisions to help you.
Yeah, no question. I think when you're a younger coach, you kind of look at that. You just can't be in a timeout and just have random shit flying around. You know what I mean? You can't just open it up to hey, what do you guys think? It's a powwow, right? You're no. But when you're sitting there talking and they understand what we're doing. So I think to empower them, sometimes you'll get a guy or two that just talks too much and they just hijack your timeout. And you just can't have it. But then you get guys that are pretty knowledgeable and stuff, and they got something. They're not going to just say something to say it. When they do say it, like Fletch is very knowledgeable. Just take it in. Take it in. The one thing that you don't have as a coach is you don't have the feel of what's going on in a game as a player. You just don't have that. You're well, you're the head coach. Watch a game, process the game, then go watch it on tape and say, how in the hell didn't I see that? Because you watch the ball so much. And so sometimes I'll watch away from the basketball and then something happens. You're well, what happened? People look at you like you're crazy. Well, why weren't you watching? Because I was watching away from the ball. So there's things that are going on all the time. I think just having an open mind as a coach, especially when it's someone who knows what he's talking about like him, that really helps. So yeah, you can't have a 30-second timeout and then vote on shit, right? You just can't hey, what do you guys think? We practiced for 8 months. Just a game, just trying to win a Big Ten championship. So.
I like that, the voting thing, that's good.
Yeah.
Back to resiliency, Coach. Kind of curious, Gillis came in here and said that they looked at each other at halftime and said, we got this. How much do you think your team is more battle tested to handle adversity? How much of that is maybe looking at a guy like Edey and the confidence he exudes, the way he handles himself, sets an example for other guys?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all that. It's understanding when you're in the situation that we are that you're not going to have success if you don't defend. You don't guard people. If we weren't going to be better defensively, we weren't going to win the game. And that's what runs are about. Runs are about getting stops. If you're going to go on an 8-0 run, you can't do it without getting stops. So that's where it starts with. And then, you always have, if they want to pressure or they want to take us out of things or do whatever, just throw it inside. Just using it. And they know they have him. Like they know they have him and he's gonna keep working. It doesn't mean that they can't stop him, but it just gives us a sense of let them take him away and then we can play off of that, or if they don't take him away, just let him be one-on-one. Like if we lose the game and they stay one-on-one and we keep going at it, I'm fine as a coach to live with that. I've watched him dominate games for 4 years now. Like that's just part of competition. Sometimes it doesn't go your way, but we were able to get some stops. The other guys did a good job with that. And I think it just builds confidence when you see the ball going in and the ball's not going in for them. Now you can get those runs, and I think that's kind of how we had the great second half.
I know it hasn't been top of mind for you here the last couple hours, but quick turnaround for Ohio State.
Right.
They're in a bit of a different situation.
Correct.
Do you have any expectation for what you're walking into there?
Yeah, they have good players. They have talented players. They have a really good backcourt. They have a good front court. They obviously are, fighting for consistency. And it's very unfortunate, consider Chris Holtman a friend and, a peer and colleague and a guy that really good person and a really good coach. I mean, you hate that for him, and then, but now a game has to be played, right? And just lock in on their personnel and lock into what they're doing, and they're going to go out and play just like they played before. Like you can't break down a system. When you start in June and you're February 15th, like you just can't. It's not the way it works. They're going to do what they did before, and that's the way it is. And so like we have to prepare for that, and we got a lot of respect for their guys, and just have to play better. Like just have to compete and go there and hopefully play better than them. But it'll be a tall task. Anything on the road in this league is very difficult.
Last one.
I had a question about Sasha. I noticed a few weeks ago you had him against Northwestern. He was calling a few plays. You had PJ come back in, calling a few plays, and again today, walks up behind you, calls a few plays, goes back. Is he becoming one of those like assistant offensive coordinators for you guys?
Yeah. No, PJ is our offensive coordinator. Sasha does our out of bounds and side out of bounds plays. So they're always doing stuff. And then if they got it rolling like that at the end, like PJ did a great job there at the end, just kind of putting Mason in different places. You saw Mason get the corner three, then Mason's behind him, then Mason roll and replace. So like PJ did a really good job of just putting them in a bind. And that's just a weapon that Mason is, right there. But Sasha handles the out of bounds and side out of bounds plays with it. So we specialize what we do. So Coach Johnson and Coach Lusk are defense, and they flip the scouts. Coach Brantley does personnel, and then, like I said, PJ does offense for every game, and Sasha does out of bounds and side out of bounds. I switched it up about 10 years ago. I hate going into huddles and getting 4 different opinions, and it makes me stir crazy. So I like the specialization of it. I like one guy, when Sasha comes into work, that's all he worries about. When PJ comes into work, it's all he worries about. It's all he has to worry about. I don't want them to talk to me about something out of their realm. Talk to me about what you do. And so like it's really helped us. But also what it helps with is I think as a player you get clouded too. And so like now you know who to go to. If you got something on defense, go talk to Coach Johnson, go talk to Coach Lusk. You got something on personnel, this like guy who goes left, he goes right, he shoots pull-ups, whatever it is, go talk to Coach B. Now execution offensively, they talk to PJ more because they like offense more, right? Yeah. So nobody goes in their backyard and does lane slides. They go and shoot bad threes. So, but it just allows us to be on the same page. And so, like for me, I had to like check my ego at the door. The best, like, you know what I mean? And so I think a lot of times people say this is what the head coach should do. Well, they're not in charge. I'm in charge. So I got to make decisions on what's best for Purdue. And I just thought 10 years ago that made a whole lot of sense because now the players, they know, and it's systematic, and they know what to do, in all situations. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.